because you accuse Speaker Gingrich of peddling his influence with congressional Republicans to help the companies that paid him tens of millions of dollars since he's left office. Given his denial over time, and again tonight, that he denies ever having lobbied, what is your evidence, hard evidence, that he engaged in influence peddling?
Well, it's the fact that we know that he cashed paychecks from Freddie Mac. That's the best evidence that you can have. Over $1.6 million. And frankly, I am shocked listening to the former Speaker of the House because he's defending the continuing practice of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. There's a big difference between a credit union and Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, and they were the epicenter of the mortgage financial meltdown. I was trying to see these two entities put into bankruptcy because they frankly need to go away when the Speaker had his hand out and he was taking $1.6 million to influence senior Republicans to keep the scam going in Washington, D.C. That's absolutely wrong. We can't have as our nominee for the Republican Party someone who continues to stand for Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. They need to be shut down, not built up.
Speaker Gingrich.
Well, the easiest answer is that's just not true. What she just said is factually not true. I never lobbied under any circumstance. I never went in and suggested in any way that we do this. In fact, I tried to help defeat the Housing Act when the Democrats were in charge of the House. And if you go back and talk to former Congressman Rick Lazio, he'll tell you when we were passing housing reform while I was Speaker, I never at any time tried to slow down the reform effort. In fact, I helped him pass the reform bill. And I think sometimes people ought to have facts before they make wild allegations.
Let me
yes, sure. Congresswoman.
Well, after the debate that we had last week, PolitiFact came out and said that everything that I said was true. And the evidence is that Speaker Gingrich took $1.6 million. You don't need to be within the technical definition of being a lobbyist to still be influence peddling with senior Republicans in Washington, D.C. to get them to do your bidding. And the bidding was to keep this grandiose scam of Freddie Mac going. That is something that our nominee can't stand for. We have to shut down these government enterprises, and we've got to end them. And I think that's shocking that he's saying that.
Let me just say two things.
Speaker Gingrich, quickly.
Okay. I want to say two things. First, my policy is to break up both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. It is not anything like what she just described. Second, I want to state unequivocally for every person watching tonight, I have never once changed my positions because of any kind of payment, because the truth is I was a national figure who was doing just fine, doing a whole variety of things, including writing best-selling books, making speeches, and the fact is I only chose to work with people whose values I shared, and having people have a chance to buy a house is a value I believe still is important in America.